Do you know how to tell if an apple is sweet and crisp just by looking at it? It's easier than you think. Today I'll show you a few simple tips to spot the juiciest, most flavorful apples. No guessing, no biting, no wasting money. Once you learn this, you'll always pick the perfect apple at the store or market. If you're someone who often shops or picks fruit for your family, you definitely don't want to miss this. And at the end of the video, I'll share a bonus trick my grandmother used for keeping apples fresh for weeks. You won't want to miss it. Tip 1. Look at the apple's skin color to tell the difference. When choosing apples, the first thing we ladies should pay attention to is the color of the apple's skin. This is an easy and familiar sign to recognize. Still looking at the outside to choose, but this is the correct way. Apple skin contains quercetin, an antioxidant that helps reduce inflammation, strengthen the immune system, and prevent cancer. When buying apples, pay attention to apples with a mix of red and yellow skin, uneven coloring, and blotchy patches that look like they were painted by sunlight. That's a sign of naturally ripened apples that are juicy and sweet. On the other hand, apples with skin that's evenly red from top to bottom and shiny like it's been lacquered, be cautious. Those might be apples that were chemically treated, color-coded, or dyed. They're not only less tasty, but can also pose health risks. When eating, don't peel the apple unless necessary, because the peel contains more than 50% of the apple's antioxidants and fiber. Here's a small tip to safely enjoy the peel. Wash it with diluted salt water or apple cider vinegar to remove any leftover wax or pesticides on the skin. That way, you can enjoy the whole apple with peace of mind. Remember, when picking apples, you don't need the peel to be perfectly colored. The more natural, the better. Don't just pick apples that look good. Pick the ones that are truly right to bring sweet and healthy fruit to your family. Tip 2. Observe the striped patterns on the apple's skin. One of the very simple ways, but not many people notice, is to look at the vertical striped lines on the apple's skin. In fact, many people are often drawn to apples with smooth, shiny skin. They may look beautiful, but aren't always delicious. Tasty, sweet, and crisp apples are usually the ones with clearly defined red and yellow striped patterns. These stripes are a sign that the apple ripened naturally under sunlight, without chemical treatments, so it retains a light, sweet flavor, crisp texture, and lots of juice. Not only are they delicious, but apples with lots of striped patterns are also rich in pectin, a type of soluble fiber that supports digestion, nourishes good gut bacteria, and reduces bad cholesterol, LDL, which is especially good for older adults. On the other hand, apples with smooth, shiny, and evenly colored skin may look pretty, but they are often coated with wax or haven't been exposed to enough sunlight. As a result, they taste bland, have less juice, and don't deliver the rich flavor you'd expect. So, don't rush to pick the apples that look the most glamorous. Look for apples with natural red and yellow stripes. Though rustic in appearance, they hold a sweet and wholesome taste inside, delicious and good for the whole family's health. And hey, Tracy would really love to know, where are you watching this video from? It's such a joy to know that we're connecting from all around the world. Leave a comment below so we can connect, care for each other, and share lovely things every day. Tip 3. Use your hands to feel the apple's skin. Now it's time to use your skillful hands to pick a good apple by gently feeling the skin. Apples with slightly rough skin, not too smooth, are usually the kind that has been fully sun-ripened, which helps them accumulate more natural sugars, making them sweeter, more fragrant, and crisp. On the other hand, if the apple's skin is too smooth and shiny, it may be sour or bland, and less juicy. These apples are often selected for their pretty appearance rather than their flavor. Also, you should avoid apples with black spots or unusual rough patches, as these are signs the fruit has been bruised or has started to spoil. They won't keep well and may even affect the quality inside. Just a light touch is all it takes to choose a sweet, wholesome apple that's good for your health. Tip 4. Look at the apple stem to check for freshness. The next thing to notice when choosing a good apple is whether the apple is fresh. When buying apples, you should observe the stem area of the fruit. This is the part that connects the apple to the tree branch, where nutrients are transferred from the branch into the fruit. If the stem is still light green and fresh-looking, it means the apple was recently picked and has retained its crispness, juiciness, and natural sweetness. On the other hand, if the stem has turned yellow or dark brown, it's likely that the apple has been sitting around for a while, has lost moisture, and is less crisp and less flavorful. Eating apples can help control weight thanks to their high fiber content and low calories. Apples help you feel full longer, making them suitable for healthy dieting and weight loss. Just imagine slicing up a plate of apples and taking that first bite, only to find it mealy and bland. How disappointing would that be? So remember to take a quick glance at the stem to pick out a fresh, sweet, and delicious apple. Tip 5. Check the belly button of the apple. Besides the skin and the freshness at the stem, there's another small detail that's well worth noticing, and that is the belly button at the bottom of the apple. At first glance, it might seem unimportant, but actually, it reveals a lot about the apple's flavor and inner quality. If the belly button is small and shallow, it's the type of apple that growers jokingly call male apples. These usually have firmer flesh, less juice, and a slightly tart taste, perfect if you prefer crisp and dense apples. On the other hand, if the belly button is large and deeply indented, that's a female apple. This type usually has a rounder shape, juicier flesh, and a much sweeter flavor. This is the kind of apple many people love, because it brings a cool, pleasant feeling when eaten. So, when picking apples, don't forget to gently flip the bottom up and look for ones with a large, deep belly button. That's a sure sign of a sweet, juicy apple that also nourishes your body. Tip 6. Weigh it by hand to feel how juicy it is. The final way to pick a delicious apple is to weigh it by hand. When holding two apples of similar size, choose the one that feels heavier. The heavier the apple, the higher its water content, meaning the flesh will be juicy, crisp, and sweet. On the other hand, if the apple feels lighter, it's likely due to moisture loss during storage. Inside, it will be dry and mealy, not as tasty. Additionally, you can bring it close and give it a gentle sniff. Fresh, perfectly ripe apples usually have a mild, pleasant fragrance. If the smell is too strong, with a bit of a fermented scent, the apple is likely overripe and won't keep long, so only buy it if you plan to eat it the same day. As I promised at the beginning of the video, now I'll show you the secret I learned from my grandmother to keep apples fresh for weeks. Start by sorting through the apples and removing any that are bruised or damaged. One bad apple can really spoil the bunch. Wrap each apple individually in paper towels or newspaper to absorb excess moisture. Then, store them in a perforated plastic bag or a breathable container in the crisper drawer of your refrigerator. Make sure to keep apples away from other fruits like bananas, since bananas release ethylene gas, which can cause apples to ripen and spoil faster. This simple method does a wonderful job of preserving their flavor and texture. With just a few small tips, we can confidently pick sweet, juicy apples that are truly good for the whole family's health. But don't stop there. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. That's absolutely true. Because the many nutrients in apples not only support easier digestion, but also gently aid in weight loss, naturally beautify the skin, and help protect a healthy heart, something we all care about, especially us women after the age of 45. I hope these tips bring more joy and confidence to you. If you found this video helpful, please share it with a friend or someone in your family who might enjoy it too. And don't forget to leave a comment. I'd love to hear your favorite apple tips or how you keep your fruits fresh at home. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon with more easy, wholesome ideas just for you.